the Miami Dolphins, and now an extra day, which they'll probably need on their way to Foxborough. This guy is my longtime friend and Wasabi, doing things from NFL Network and Fox all over the world, up in Philadelphia in the city of brotherly love. He spent the weekend here in Maryland watching the Navy midshipmen lose to his Temple team from up there in Philly, and then called the Ravens action on Sunday as well. We welcome my dear friend Brian Baldinger back onto the program. He is Baldy NFL out on Twitter and all over the world as well. Brian Baldinger, are the Baltimore Ravens a contender in this thing, in this tournament?
Yeah, because I think they've got a championship-level defense, and that was on display, Sunday, and look, they got great contribution. I mean, the quarterback looked like the quarterback that took them to a Super Bowl when he went through the postseason with 11 touchdowns and no interceptions. I mean, he was as good as he's been in a long time, and maybe that's a product of, health, getting, a healthy Dennis Pitta on the field, improved offensive line, maybe a benefit of all those things, but it's a great sign that he can play at that level combined with the defensive performance that was about as good as it gets in this league.
Well, and for Flacco and the maturation of this offense and it getting better so much, and you're an offensive lineman, and I know we got together a month ago when they were scuffling and we talked about this. You can't play with an offensive line that's different every single week. No matter who the components are, it's not going to be very good. What we're seeing Marshall Yanda do, speak to that, because we got Marshall out on Wednesday night. First time we've had him out in 10 years. We're going to have a nice long chat. We're going to swab him for the bone marrow registry and for There Goes My Hero. There's a guy that doesn't do a lot of talking and isn't noticed as well as offensive linemen, as well as they don't get the accolades, and no one wears their jersey, but he's been about as good as it gets. He's almost entering that Ogden kind of good territory for the period of time, and now has made this move over to the left side because of his shoulder. This is an incredibly courageous thing for Marshall Yanda.
Well, a lot of guys, would be on injured reserve, with the shoulder that he has. But over on the left side, he doesn't have to use that left arm as much. But that being said, look, the guy, you watch him week to week, he never has a bad performance. He's typically the best lineman on the field every week, Nasty. He makes Stanley better. This was, I think, the third game in a row with Vlad at right, at the right guard, and Wagner, Zuta. So I think it's 3 weeks, maybe it's 4 now, where they've got a chance to really play together, and that was the best game overall. That's a very good, that's a very good defensive front. And, they got a $100 million player in the middle of that defensive front. They've got a great defensive end, and they were almost invisible on the field Sunday. And really, that's the play collectively of the line. It's also how well Joe saw the field. I thought he saw it extremely well. He saw when things were breaking, when to get off a receiver. He got everybody involved because he had to. He found the open receiver repeatedly and hit him in stride, hit him accurately. But it all started up front. I think John Harbaugh, I think they all would agree that it all started with how well that group played up front.
Right after the game, John Harbaugh offered up that Flacco and Marty Mornhinweg had a dispute, a spirited debate in regard to the way the offense was going and the aggressiveness and throwing the football. And in the end, you look down at the stat sheet and you say, well, there was nothing about it that was balanced. They came out and said, we're going to throw, and they threw until they couldn't throw anymore. And then when the time came to bleed the clock, they ran a little bit. But a throw-first offense. Thoughts about that heading into December and January, Baldy?
Well, it's a game plan thing. It may not be that way against New England, but if you look at Miami, with they've got 2 backup safeties starting, and they had injuries at linebacker. They had injuries where let's throw into the injured area of that defense. If we can protect up front against a very good defensive front, that's where we're going to make the most gain. Now they were susceptible to the run all year. Maybe that's the way you do it. But, Marty comes from that offense where, you throw it to set up the run. I think Joe threw it 33 or 34 times in the first half. But when you're completing such a high percentage, it was incredibly high percentage. Joe was just pinpoint in his throws, and everybody got involved. Pitta had a breakout game. Heck, Rashard Perriman, made a play that they've been waiting for 2 years for him to make, where he catches, a crossing route and takes it to the house. And you see the explosiveness. And you think for a second, for at least a day, well, maybe this isn't a buck ball type of offense. Maybe this thing can be opened up, to Joe's point. Like, let's open it up. And, it was Kamar Aiken or whether it was Wiles. I mean, he got the ball to every single receiver on that roster yesterday. And like Joe said, like, I had time. I had time to get off the receiver and go to another one. And that hasn't always been the case this year.
With teams that have won around here, Baldy, there have only been two of them. You and I were together back at Super Bowl 35. A lot of special players on both of those teams. And you looked at this team at the beginning of the year and said, all right, well, Flacco's won a Super Bowl MVP, and he's making all the money, fine. Suggs, don't know what we're going to get out of him. Steve Smith, don't know what we're going to get out of him at this point. We know they were special players. Yanda's getting a little older. Now he's got this injury. Don't know what we're going to get out of him. And Dennis Pitta was the guy nobody expected to get anything out of. And all of a sudden, these guys, even Mike Wallace, who looked special for a period of time in Pittsburgh and did some special things, these guys are all in December, and some of them in the December of their years, and we all know what that feels like, Baldy. They're doing pretty good things, including Duberville, who's got himself back out on the field and looks a little spry and a little fresh right now. Maybe not a bad combination heading into this time of the year where you look down and say, you got to survive 7 games here, 8 games here to win a championship. Can these guys make it through that? I'm starting to believe, well, as long as they can make it to the first week of January, they have a chance.
Well, you want to get in the tournament is what you're talking about. And like they did in, a few years back where they got in the tournament and then, the quarterback got razor hot and Anquan Bolden was the answer on third down. Look, when Dennis Pitta caught that second touchdown pass on Sunday, I mean, the first guy to congratulate him was Joe Flacco. There was nobody happier for Dennis Pitta than Joe Flacco. And you count it, your heartstrings get pulled. Everybody knows what this kid's been through. How many games he's missed, a year he missed. The idea that he could even come back from this, that they would even give him the opportunity to come back and to see that. And so what you're talking about is, could these aging veteran players get through a season? Well, they've struggled to do that. But, and you saw it in training camp, if Steve Smith, if Doug, if Dumerville, if Pitta, if they can all get there, they got a chance because they've all done it. So here we are. First week in December, getting ready for a Monday night game in New England. They're all on the field. Well, they're on the field. That's a big part. And they were all productive yesterday. Now, how many weeks in a row? And maybe every week. But when you get those kind of performances from every player that I just mentioned that you talked about, including Marshall Yanda playing with one wing, like that's a good sign for John and for that team. And look, you got the best kicker in the league. There's a lot of things to like about this team, but defensively, they have depth. Eric Weddle makes that defense a heck of a lot better on the back end. Getting Jimmy Smith back on the field. Tavon Young is a godsend and how that kid has played and how tough he is. There's a lot of things. Zachary Orr leads this team in tackles. I mean, there's a lot of things to like about that defense right now.
All right, well, what do you like or don't like about the New England Patriots right now, Baldy? This is an interesting time. When the schedule came out, we're like, ooh, December, cold, Monday night, late. We're usually chasing someone in this division, and that looks to be trouble in December. It looked to be trouble a week and a half ago. I don't know, with Gronkowski missing, that would have been a bit of an X factor because I would have looked and said, who's going to mark him on this defense? Who's going to tackle him without getting dragged 10 or 15 yards the way he does? A tight end averaging 22 yards a catch in this league, eliminated now. And I know the Patriots have done this many, many times before, and plug and play and next man up and all those other NFL idioms and axioms, but there's no replacing Rob Gronkowski, and as a Ravens fan, I'm glad he's not going to be in there on Monday night.
Well, he's the single toughest matchup in the entire league. Nobody can mark him, to use your word. He just can't do it. But they have done it without him before, and yesterday they just wiped up the Rams like they didn't even belong in the league. I think they had 36 more plays in the game than the Rams did. They played keep away the way good teams do. They didn't give them a chance. So really, that to me is where this game has to be won, is the Raven offense has to win this game. Like the defense on New England, statistically, they look outstanding. They kept the Rams to 3 points. But I don't believe that it's a great defense. I don't think there's a great pass rusher. I don't believe there's a great scheme. I don't believe they have a third corner. I believe the offense has to win this game for the Ravens. And they're capable of doing it. I think if you looked at the way Seattle beat them, they had no answer for Jimmy Graham. I just think you can go to New England and you can win, but your offense better be able to score, and they better be able to control the football. You can't give it to them. They're not going to turn it over. You know that. They're not giving you any short fields. Like, they know all those tricks. But the offense has got to put up 24 points minimum in this game.
I remember 2 years ago, we go up there, had the 2-touchdown lead in the playoffs, lost, came home with our feelings hurt. Collins was the best player on the field, if not him, then Gronkowski, and neither one of them are appearing. And in Week 7, you would have looked down and said, well, the Ravens are on a 3-game losing streak or 4-game, whatever it was at that point, and said, when we go to New England, those are the two guys you got to contend with. They're not going to be wearing jerseys on Monday night. That bodes well. That bodes as well as maybe it did for the Redskins or the Giants or the Jets to say, well, Jimmy Smith and Mosley and Suggs and Doomerville and Yonda and Stanley and Steve Smith, none of those guys were on the field the month of October, and that's how you lose. You lose when your best players aren't on the field.
Well, your best players are the most experienced and understand what playing in December is all about. Because they know they got to play well in December to play in January. So if you had to suffer through October the way they did, the coach kept things alive, you scratched out a couple of wins before Sunday, and then you beat a really good team. It's not you just didn't beat them. I mean, you took them apart. The game was never close, and that was a good sign. But this is the ultimate test. Everybody will be watching. You get an extra day to get ready. Look, the quarterback is, the difference maker every year for them. And so the Ravens have affected that quarterback in a lot of different ways over the years. Doug knows what they've got to do. They can't allow the short passing game to Edelman and, to Hogan and to James White. You can't let them march down the field against you. You got to be tight in your coverage. Like, DPs understands protection, breakdowns, how to get after the quarterback, to move them. All those things are known, but yeah, you're going to give yourself a much greater chance to win when your best players, the most experienced players, are all on the field right now.
He is my dear friend, the travel dog himself, Brian Baldinger. Baldy joins us live from Philadelphia. He called the Ravens game at Compass Media over the weekend. You can follow him at Baldy NFL on Twitter. And Baldy was on the field hanging out with Dan Marino before the game. Dude, you had a hell of a weekend, right? I mean, you come down from Philadelphia. I think you expected the Navy game to be a little closer than it was on Saturday. And I don't think you expected the Dolphins to get sort of run out of the gym on Sunday. It's amazing with football, right? The things we expect, and then they actually go out there and roll the football out there, and things change over the weekend, don't they?
Well, they do, but it also said this. It is about defense in the game of football. As much as people want to spread you out and put up a lot of scores and throw the ball down the field, it's about defense. And Temple threw a defense at the Naval Academy. I'm good friends with Matt Rules on the sideline with them. And they were just simply, maybe it was just outmatched. The speed of Temple, the toughness they play offense with the fullback, downhill, moving the line of scrimmage. I mean, that's still how you win big games. And then, you saw that by the Ravens, how they won that game. I mean, yeah, J.I. Ajayi got a couple of runs on them, but really they didn't get anything over their head. They didn't give up any big plays. They executed the way you got to execute in this business when you get to December. I mean, I just marveled at how well Joe played yesterday and how easy he made it look. And a lot of that was how well he was protected. But, whether there was a true tete-a-tete with Marty and Joe, I think it was probably a good thing that you get those kind of things and that the voices get raised a little bit. You're a little bit passionate about it. You got to test each other. You got to push each other. And I'm sure they're hugging each other today at the result. But those are some of the things that happen during the season amongst coach and player, amongst coaches, amongst players. I know this. Nobody can run a locker room in a team as well as John Harbaugh. That guy knows how to do all of it, and he's proven it. So the fact that he got through that stretch that you talked about and got him back on track, it's a great sign by a great coach.
Well, there's a lot of things going on in the league right now, and strangeness everywhere from, Eric Berry running back a 2-point pick 2. I never heard of a pick 2 before Sunday, but now, that's part of the vernacular as well. The Steelers are winning. Certainly Oakland just, coming from nowhere, down 2 touchdowns. I mean, there's a lot of things happening in the AFC, but this New England Ravens game, the schedule makers knew what they were doing putting this one on Monday night next week, right?
No doubt, no question. I mean, this could be, the highest rated Monday night game they've had all year, maybe in a couple of years. I know Gruden is already looking ahead. I mean, nothing against the Jets team tonight, but he's already looking ahead to that matchup. He's already pulling out the playoff law and, the offensive formations that Belichick do at Harbaugh and how they came back from a 28-14 deficit. He's already digested yesterday's, Baltimore win against Miami. So, but he's looking as an analyst, it's a dream game. It really is. I mean, two hot teams on the road against, basically, the enemy of the NFL. I mean, everybody's got a bullseye on the Patriots, on the coach, the quarterback. And so you understand when you go in there what you're up against and really how well you have to play in every stage in order to have a chance to win. And it's all there. They can win that game. It's a very winnable game.
Where are you with the Oakland Raiders right now? They certainly have been impressive, and I know everyone's a little concerned about their defense. I don't know that if the Ravens had to get on a plane and go out their second week of January, if they could get that far, if they can win a wild card game at home, if they can win the division. That's doesn't seem to be the tallest task, but they're playing some good football right now.
Yeah, playing great football. And, they started the year with 4 rookies starting, Kerry Joseph and Corey James, and you're out there with these guys, and they're all learning. It's a brand-new secondary, 4 new players. DJ Hayden's out for the year. He was a starter. And it's all new in the back end. They gave up a lot of big plays. We're not surrendering as many big plays right now. And, you can see the difference that, Khalil Mack has when he's got, a true pass rusher off the other side. But offensively right now, I mean, Derek Carr only knows how to play the game one way, and that's to attack. I mean, it's 3rd and 9, they're not handing the ball off. Like, they're attacking down the field. If you watched the game a couple weeks ago against Denver, I mean, that was about they ran for 200 yards. That's about as smash mouth as you get. I thought Art Shell and, Willie Upshaw were playing in that game, the way that they were throwing the Broncos around.
Baldy, I was invited into the Oakland Raiders' lair the day after that game when they broke the film down. I was in the hour-long meeting, and Jack breaking that film down, it was just like he had these shirts, these jackhammer shirts he throws out. Everybody was getting – I mean, there were more highlights sitting in there of, pancakes and takedowns. I mean, I don't know that Denver wants to see Oakland again, right? I mean, they kind of muscle them up a little bit, right?
Well, they want it right there. That's where you want it. And to watch Donald Penn or, Rodney Hudson or Kalechi, God, how much the Ravens really, truly miss him. But, when you watch those guys play the way they do, Menelik Watson, that's how you eliminate Von Miller from affecting the game in the passing game, is you throw him into that Papa pit where they just they just smashed him. And if I was Jack Del Rio, I'd been throwing those shirts out with a, Jack smile. He couldn't stop gleaming. I'm sure Mike Tice, it was probably his proudest moment, watching his kids grow up and mesh and come together. And then in a big game in a division, in the mud, on the grass, to play like that, that's one of those games where it's a staple game. And you go, yeah, we're getting better. This isn't talk. This isn't, fantasy football. This isn't, paper lines. This is real stuff. And it's coming together for that team.
Last thing for you, Baldy, the Cam Newton thing. I know you and I got together at the Super Bowl. I'm the anti-Cam Newton guy, and I don't like that act at all. There's nothing about it other than him playing football at a high level that is attractive to me about it. The benching part and it's amazing how quickly these things sort of fall apart, and especially for Kaepernick, right? When you lose the Super Bowl, strange things happen to those who lose Super Bowls. Kaepernick might not work again in the business before it's all over with the baggage he's coming with. And now Cam Newton's getting benched by his coach over a tie and in front of the whole world on Sunday Night Football. It was really a bad look all the way around, not just to mention how bad they got their ass kicked in Seattle, right?
Well, he's a part of the problem. There's a lot of problems there in Carolina, and we've seen that from Super Bowl teams that lose. But it started Super Bowl Sunday when he fumbled the ball, and it was looking at the ball, and he didn't go for it. And you just wonder, what's this guy made of? Is he just a true front runner? When things are going great, like he can just, he can dance and, he can be the MVP and all that. But when the ball's on the ground, he's not going after the ball, and then, the way he acted in the press conference afterwards and then the follow-up this season with it, they've got to be asking those kind of questions in Carolina right now.
Brian Baldinger has covered the NFL, played in the NFL, and will continue to be around. I hope to see you in Houston. I'm sorry I missed you in Baltimore over the weekend, but you're calling a lot of radio, right? I mean, you called the game, and I saw you on the field with Dan Marino. What are you saying to Marino down there? I was shocked to see him in Baltimore.
Well, I mean, Dan's, I was asking him about his quarterback and the coach and what he thinks of them and, just some of the things that, either you like or don't like about television. Sometimes you don't have the most favorable opinion about it. But, Dan's biggest problem yesterday was you saw a lot of Dolphin fans in the stadium, and they were screaming his name, and it was funny because he knows if he goes over there and signs one autograph, stays one picture, he's not going to get away. So he was fighting that, that Marino chant over there, and so I think he didn't mind actually, chewing in my ear a little bit, just to not have to answer those calls over there yesterday.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's great season, and for us here in Baltimore, we felt it slipping away. These are the good days, right? This is when it gets to be fun going up to New England. 3 out of 4 on the road. Tough road, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. We knew that was coming. Baldy, take care of yourself. We'll be watching and following you out on Twitter. It's always great to catch up with you, my pal.
My pleasure, Nasty. Anytime, buddy.
We got to get a Springsteen show in Australia or New Zealand. I need some New Zealand tips, buddy.
All right. You know me. I can work you around New Zealand.
I'm working on it. South Island, baby. See you later,
right,
Baldy. There he goes, Brian Baldinger. He is Baldy NFL out on Twitter if you want to follow him. Also out on Facebook as well. And my longtime friend and one of my favorite people to talk football with. Great to have him in Baltimore over the weekend. And great to have Marshall Yanda joining us on Wednesday night out of Greenmount Station. We're swabbing for the Bone Marrow Registry and for There Goes My Hero. Show starts at 7:30. Been a little while since we've had Marshall out. I've had a little fun sharing an old picture where both of us look a little younger, and I look a little less bearded than he does from 2006. You can go check that out as well. We'll see you on Wednesday night up in Carroll County for some delicious crab cakes at Greenmount Station. Anything you missed here this week, you can find in the Buy a Toyota audio vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device. Just download the TuneIn Radio app. We do come in crystal clear. You can email me, nasty, at WNST.net anytime, anywhere. For any reason, I am available for party tricks and whatnot. I'll be speaking to the Ravens Nest group up in Bel Air on Thursday night. So if you're a member of that, Doug Phillips and that group up there, come on out and see us up in Bel Air on Thursday night as well. I'm Nestor. This is WNST.net, AM 1570 and WNST Towson, Baltimore. And we never stop talking Baltimore sports.